welcome to our show. Our guest is David Condrey of the Milford Water Company. Welcome, David.
Thank you. How you doing,
Well, coincidentally, we're taping this the first week of September. We're in a mini heat wave, so I've got to ask the question, how's the water supply doing?
I mean, considering where we started in 2015, we're doing okay. I mean, we're doing as I would expect.
But wait a minute, we had all that snow last winter. Are you trying to tell me we didn't get the Echo Lake up to the tip-top?
No, we never topped off, only because we started off at a low point.
Okay.
Last year, the low point was about 109 inches below what we call the spillway, or what would be the normal overflow.
Right.
We put boards in the spillway to give.
So how far up were you when spring started?
We were just about at the top of the spillway.
Okay.
So it never got onto the flashboards.
Right.
It got to the top of the spillway. But then May hit. And May traditionally is when everybody's starting lawns. There's all that, the whole spring startup. And we had 40.43 inches of rain in May, which normally May is, I could have anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain during that time.
And we've been down the whole summer.
Right. So as soon as May hit, everything I gained from all the snow we had
was gone.
It was gone. So I started off on my normal, you know, hit or miss type things with the rain. You know, there was a couple of months where I had slightly more rain than, you know, my 30-year average, or slightly above last year's rain for the month. But, you know, it's been never a dramatic rainfall. Like last year, I got 6 inches of rain in July of last year. So that made the reservoir come up.
Well, what do you get this year in July?
We got like 2.3, you know, something very low. So she goes down about an inch a day. That's what we're tracking on average right now.
Okay, but once we're post Labor Day, and once this heat wave subsides, you should start leveling off on the consumption.
Yes, I mean, that's normally what we see. And to be honest with you, even though it's been a heat wave, my pumping isn't so ecstatic that it's not different from last year. You know, unlike, I came from a summer community, so the Cape. On the weekends, the Cape gets nailed. We used to go, I get nailed. I do 5 million gallons a day, Saturday, Sunday. Here, it's just the opposite. When people leave Milford to go to the Cape or go to the beach. So you get it on the weekday. So yeah, during the week is when we normally have our usual usage. Right. And you know, we still have a lot more industry here because the power company's been on pretty steady. So they use about 200,000 gallons a day when they're running. And
they also tend to buy it and truck it in.
Yes, as they're limited on how much water they can get from me. From you, okay. So they have to subsidize that with trucking it in, et cetera. And then Saint-Gobain, or I forget what it's called now.
Ardagh Group.
Yes. They went through a bunch of changes recently. So about the same time that I came here, around 2009, they had, you know, they had to make some environmental changes, and so they changed from more water efficient. They didn't use so much water to cool it. They recycle the water.
Well, they got nailed by the EPA.
Correct.
For discharging it illegally, so they are now recycling it.
So they recycle it, which allows them to run 24/7. So now they have no downtime, and they're actually using a little bit more water than they did back when they were recycling.
But let's put an end to one thing I hear. I go to all the planning board and zoning board meetings. Heard this during the casino debate, and everybody always says, I can't remember what, it was a stage 1 or stage 2 with the odd even that we're on all the time. Everybody always says, we're on a water ban, it proves we have no water. That is the same in every community in the state, and it's state imposed, correct?
Come May 1st to September 30th, everybody in the Charles River Basin is on a mandatory water restriction.
No matter how much water they have available?
No matter how much water you have available.
Okay. And you do have plans to service future development in town? And you have the water?
I have water availability.
Not unlimited, but you have water.
That's correct. Since I've been here, I stay in a stage 2. A lot of people ask me, why do you stay in a stage 2 in the winter when, you know,
that's the odd even.
it's the odd even. It's just, I just keep it at a level stage too, because unless I am physically overflowing, the reservoir is overflowing, it's just good common water sense to restrict the usage. And it's a restriction. A lot of people say it's a ban. It's not. It's a restriction. I'm not telling people they can't water lawns. I'm not telling them they can't wash their vehicles or do things. It's just that we need to do them with more common sense. And no one should be out there using water at 12 noon, especially the past couple of days, washing a car, washing something.
I've got a neighbor in Mendon who waters the lawn all day long, and I keep telling him, early in the morning, after the sun goes down, no, the best time's in the middle of the day.
If you're establishing a lawn, they recommend you to keep it wet. They do not recommend you to keep a puddle on it. They just want you to keep it moist.
No,
right?
This isn't an he's not putting in a new lawn. He's watering an existing lawn that turned brown.
Then 85% of the water that he's putting down is just evaporating back up into the atmosphere.
Even with this temperature, even at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, it's evaporating.
And it doesn't do anything. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, you don't need to water every other day or 3 times a week. The best is a good soaking. What you want is to soak the lawn, get the water to penetrate deep into the soil. And that way it draws the roots deeper into the soil. So during times when it's really hot out, like August, when there's no rain, the roots are so deep in the cool soil that the grass doesn't burn.
I just read a posting on Facebook the other day from an area landscaper who said, by the way, folks, it's normal for your lawn to turn brown in August. New England grasses are built that way. When there's no water, it turns brown, but it's not dead.
Right. It's a dormant thing. I mean, every lawn you look at in April is brown. Come October, it's brown. It's not because it's dead. It's just it goes dormant. It hibernates.
Well, there's now a movement afoot to what they call natural landscaping, where they use indigenous plants to the area, which are used to the water cycling of New England. So. You don't have that problem.
Well, they're doing that out in California. Is doing that to save
water.
Well,
they have no choice.
They have no water.
California's a whole different story.
That's a whole thing. Right. I mean, their average, Massachusetts set a per capita of 65 gallons per person. California's using 150. So there's a big disconnect. Milford, since I've been here in 2009, our average is about 45 gallons per
person per
48.
Day.
It's been well below the 65. And people do a great job here of conserving.
Can we just say it again, though? For the foreseeable future, you have adequate water supply.
Yes, as provided I do my job and make sure that we don't go crazy, make sure that the reservoir stays full. Because, again, it's our primary source.
Right.
And you have some
I
wells
get recharged.
But you don't see 1,000 houses coming in the next couple of years.
Correct.
We don't see another Fortune Boulevard coming in the next couple of years. And the few developments that are permitted, you already know they're coming in.
Right. I think the next big one might be that Deer Street. There's some. It's
the 4 industrial buildings, the 4 commercial buildings.
I mean, that would be probably the next bigger water user.
The hospital addition.
The concrete plant that's proposed. They're doing a lot of recycling on site, so they're not going to be using a ton of water. The hospital does a great job. They use a lot of water, but they've also done a ton of retrofitting, and they do a bunch of audits, and so they're using the best and the newest technology as far as saving water devices, etc.
I tell you, you put in a funny position when you're sitting there, and I interview people like you, and then I sit at meetings, and everybody says there's not enough water. And I've just heard that brought out when anybody is opposed to anything, there's not enough water.
There's always enough water. You just have to be able to control it and manage it. That's the key. And as long as we make sure that all the new homes have all the low flows and the water, they have even Water Star now that the dishwashers
like Energy Star?
Everything is.
I have to tell you, I have a brand new washing machine that is low energy but low water use.
Yeah.
And I keep looking at it going, where's the water?
Very little water now.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're using they're relying more on heat and some of the chemical to do most of the cleaning.
I'm just very surprised.
The water rinsing, and if they filter the water, they can recharge some of the water, just like washing machines today. It's the same type of setup. They aren't using a ton of water anymore for doing what they used to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, like I said, right now, today, they went out to the reservoir today. I'm down 90. I'm down 90 inches below my spillway. So.
But that's average for this time.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's average for this time. It's normal for the conditions we're in.
Right.
And you know, we're pumping on an average of around 3 million, 2.5 to 3 million.
So you haven't had those 5 million gallon days anymore?
Nope. No, again, I think 3.5, 3.6 has been my max the past couple of years.
And a normal day in the winter is what?
2.1, 2.2. You know, it
stays not bad
around.
at all.
No. Again, my Cape days fluctuation was insane, but you know, from winter to summer. But here, it's very consistent, and again, most of the time, most of my use is Monday through Friday.
And quality, since the new plant has been online,
The new plant's been functioning, and you know, better than we anticipated.
So everything's below where it should be?
That's correct. The water coming out of it, it's doing a great job treating the sources. I hauled away my first batch of what they call residuals.
From the lagoons?
From the lagoons the other day. So I've got an idea of how much we're generating and how much when I need to plan for my next removal. So probably once a year we'll end up having a couple of tractor trailer loads hauled away. But overall the plant's doing a great job. Now we're focusing on water mains. West Fountain Street, we're doing a job. East Main Street's scheduled for spring of next year. It's going out to bid this year, but we're going to take a look at what we have for numbers. So East Main Street from the Fountain, Fortune Boulevard, down to the first road off of that Route 16. So that'll be on the books for next year. So what we're doing now is going to start working on water mains and more infrastructure. Highland Street tank, I've got to do some maintenance on that. Whether or not I do maintenance or replace it, those are kind of options. Some work on the Congress Street booster station. So now we're in that infrastructure.
And I saw in the summer you guys were doing work out on the Clarks Island well field?
Yes, what we did, the old well field was above ground tubular manifolded well.
Oh, so it was a shallow pack.
Yeah, they were it was
shallow pack well.
82,
it was like,
2.5
I was going to say like little fingers sticking down,
just
right?
went into
And then there was a
below the
manifold,
peak.
right.
And it all piped to a manifold.
Yeah.
But again, it was all above ground. So wintertime, I had to shut it off, drain it down, so I couldn't use it. So we had the main let go that went underneath the Diller Street Bridge.
Right.
And so we brought in a company and did directional drilling. So they directional drilled a 16-inch main underneath the Charles River and came back, and we tied it all in. And as we were talking to the directional drill gentleman, he was telling us about these remediation wells that he does at locations that have oil spills or gas spills, and he does these directional wells with this slotted pipe, and that's how they remediate the ground. They just pump it back into a remediation station, filter it, do what they need to do, and put it back into the ground. So the thought process came around. The president of the company says, you know, why couldn't we do that out at Clarks Island and eliminate that tubular mess that we have that's above ground and we can't use it in the winter? And it was something new to Mass DEP. They had no one approached him about it.
Right.
No one had done it before. So it's a whole new learning curve for all of us. We were able to put it in as a replacement well, so there was less permitting, less money involved. So overall, doing the directional well was a huge cost saving as opposed to traditional installing a new well or even a new replacement well, which can be costly.
So it's under the lake?
It goes directionally, the length, there's an exit point, and it's about 400 feet of well screen on we have 2 legs in now.
Right.
And we're getting about 500 gallons a minute out of that well.
That's very good. That's very
so
good.
The permit was for like about 8, so we're close to our permit. We do have room that if we wanted to, we could put a third leg.
Third leg in there.
Right now, I'm going to refocus either on Dilla Street wells, or my goal would be to look at Godfrey Brook. Godfrey Brook, the pumping has dropped off, and it's because the wells and how they're developed.
Whereabouts on Godfrey is that well field?
Depot Street?
Okay, it's down that way.
Yes.
Now, how
Not,
deep
it's
is the well?
not where they're doing all the reconstruction.
They're 30 to 60 feet deep,
Oh, that's not,
but they're pretty good sized wells.
now, do you because what you can do is backwash them, theoretically.
Yeah, we do that.
You
We
do
bring in a company and we'll do surging and cleaning of the wells, but the last couple of times that we've done redevelopment, they just haven't come back.
Ah, see, now that's...
There's a lot of iron and manganese in that area.
Yeah, what
so
happens is that, sometimes that can happen, they just don't come back.
it clogs up the stone around it. It clogs up all of the area. So hydraulically, it's less and less and less. So what we're looking at is quite possibly something on the lines of a directional well down there. Can I make one large directional well with one pump as opposed to 4 different pumps? And can we get the same amount of volume that the well originally had?
Explain that directional well again. It just goes at an angle under the ground?
Yeah, they have them. The device is absolutely incredible because it's all done by sonar, and they can drive it, and it's all in how the well point is tilted, and it goes, and it uses flexible HDB pipe, which is basically black poly pipe. They have a machine that goes around and slices grooves into the opening into the pipe. They send the drill rig through. It's got pipe. It comes out on the other side. They attach a reamer, and the reamer comes back through, and it makes the hole bigger. Gets it back out to the other side. They send it through again, but this time they've got a little bigger reamer. They get to the other side. They attach the black plastic pipe or well pipe to it, and they pull it through. And
Very
they just
interesting.
pull the pipe through.
I
Provided you
knew
don't run
they were
into
drilling.
ledge or something like that, you're all right.
If you run into ledge, then it poses a real...
Right, I know
Then they
they're
have to
drilling under highways and
relocate.
things like that
Yep.
now, doing that. I saw that demonstrated almost 20 years ago where
Yeah.
they don't have to dig a road
Yeah,
up.
they did that in Mendon, when they went down the street for the septic system.
Yeah, they can do it. They're doing it all over the place. And provided there's not a lot of ledge, they can go. I mean, for the Charles River, they dropped. It's not a very long distance. I think it was 110 feet, 120 feet. They went down. They went from where they were. They dropped 80 feet below the river and came back up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they can. The rig itself is amazing at what it can do, and they can put them
And
just
there
about
was
anywhere
no
they need to.
conflict with the guys pumping up the debris from Cedar Swamp Pond
No,
there.
because we're well below we're actually in the stone gravel layer that's
Way down
below
below
the
that.
peat. There's so much peat in Milford Pond that it acts as a natural buffer, for the wells. And remember, everything's done on that side of the island, so it all going downstream.
Right.
Anything that might be stirred up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what
Yeah.
else is on the horizon for you guys?
Really just infrastructure. Really just, we're back into doing waterwork stuff. So
Oh, I hate to raise the question. You know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't, but for I think going on 2 years now, the town has been studying whether it makes financial sense to try to buy you guys, and you guys say you're not for sale. They've contacted you,
there's been some talk.
and it's still you're not for sale?
The position of the president of the company and the company is no, it's not for sale. He understands that the town does have that right. It's in our charter. They have the right to purchase the company. But
you'd have
he
to have-
knows that, and he would much rather work it out between the company and the town and come up with some kind of negotiated settlement. That's basically where he would like to see it happen, and I'm sure the town would be the same way. So.
How do you mean settlement? Just on rates?
Agreement on price, I should say.
Okay.
A settlement of the price, a sale price.
Right. Somebody's going to have to evaluate the company and come up with a price.
Right. I mean, usually what will happen is both sides will do evaluation,
Right.
and you'll meet somewhere in the middle. you know.
And so from your perspective,
that's politics. That's between the president and
your job is running the company day to day.
My job is just every day. Same with my staff. I let them know what's going on, but it's background noise. That otherwise we just, my thing is to make sure that everything keeps moving as smoothly as it's been.
So
and keeping everything going.
The plant's running well.
Yeah.
Everybody's a happy camper.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a young staff. Unfortunately, I had a couple of retirements that happened. So for the most part, my staff is relatively new and young. But they're all getting licenses, and they're all very hard workers, and so things have been going great as far as
that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes. Yep. I mean, because right now there's the industry itself is really struggling with filling positions.
Yes.
It's been very, very, very difficult, especially management positions.
I think all industries are struggling where
tough.
There's a lot of training and technology involved to get qualified people today.
Well, the other thing too, it's we're a labor type, customer service and labor type industry. And a lot of people, kids today want the computers, they want
It's not just the training, it's not the technology. You also have to be able to put nuts on bolts.
Right.
And that mechanical aptitude sometimes is a little difficult.
And we're not necessarily a six-figure job.
No.
So, I mean, that's difficult.
No, but it is, it is a good job, and it is somewhat technical, but you're right. It seems today the kids don't look at that as a career.
Well, it's a growth. Kids today want to start at the top.
Right, and that's difficult because I do have a couple of employees. They went to BVT, and I think when they came out of the trade school, that's what I think in their heads. This is what I could probably look forward to. Starting off in the middle at least, not at the bottom. And, it's very difficult when you bring them in and tell them, look, this isn't one of those things that, necessarily have learned in a classroom. It's majority of it's hands-on. And yeah, you're going to have to start off at the bottom. I'm not saying that you can't move up fast,
but you got to start.
I know what happened in the technology industry was, at least I'll speak of the dot-com bust of 2000, 2001, was we were paying salaries for kids right out of school. We're making what somebody who worked a whole career made because the market commanded it. And then it died down, and you had a lot of people graduating who, well, I've got a college degree, I'm going to come in at $60,000, $70,000 a year, and I'm, you sit there and you try to explain to them, you got to put your time in. I know one young person who went to work in a marketing environment and left after 6 months saying, well, they wanted me to work like 12 hours a day for like 2 years before they'd give me a raise. I'd go, yeah, because we all did it.
That's the way it used to be. You used to have to start at the bottom.
And there's sort of an expectation, but I agree. I mean, it's tough getting a trained waterworks operator.
Yeah. And the other thing too is the younger generation. They're 7 to 3:30 or 8 to 5 or whatever, but that's it. With technology today and laptops and smartphones and tablets and all of that stuff, there's no more. I don't need to work after 5 o'clock, or I'm going to go home. We're 24/7. I mean, Friday night we had a leak on Friday night, so the guys were out until midnight.
But speaking of laptops and stuff, you can control or monitor that new treatment plant from your cell phone, correct?
Yes, that's one of the great things about technology is the plant itself has a dedicated laptop, so that the operator who is on call has that with him 24/7. Something comes in, he can physically see what's going on at the plant, the remote sites. He can make adjustments if he needs to, and he'll still come in, but he can make adjustments before he gets there to make sure everything's going okay.
But I mean, theoretically,
I also
couldn't you sit
on
here?
my smartphone,
Yeah.
which has been nice for me, is there's software that while I'm on vacation or if I'm away, I go on and I can see what the plant's doing. It will tell me what the plant's doing. It'll give me any alarms. My guys get the alarms. My staff can actually answer alarms and you know, acknowledge them, et cetera. I don't have that ability. I could do it, but I don't want that ability, I should say. But I get all the alarms, and again, I can see everything that's going on. I know when the plant's functioning properly, and it's been great. And that's part of the reason why our plant isn't manned physically 24/7. It's because that we do have what they have, the SCADA capabilities, which allows us remote control. And not to mention that the plant itself, if any one particular sequence of events, one particular part of the treatment process is not performing properly or gets out of whack and not within the scope, it will shut the plant down and then come out there and have to go through the motions and figure out what's going on before you can restart it. So
that's a good, as you said, a good use of technology.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. No, technology is incredible right now as far as that goes. Even the industry, everything we do now is more. It's not the, you know, pick and shovel and, you know, backhoe stuff anymore. It's a lot more.
Yeah, it's a whole different world.
That's it.
The downside, as I tell people, is you need a PhD to understand how to program your car radio.
Yeah. Hey, think about it, right? If it wasn't for OnStar, you know what I mean? I just hit a button now, and she tells me where I can go, where to go. That's great.
I don't even have to hit a button. I just look at my wife, and she tells me where to go.
Let's not go there, Al.
Yeah, no, that's the technology has changed. I mean, I can remember years ago in the computer industry where you had to physically be in front of the computer. Now, I get an alert when my server doesn't work, or you know, when it backs up, I get a.
Yep.
And that's what I do majority of my time now. Is I'm at the computer doing reports and, you know, more of the financial stuff. Everything's on the computer today.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was one of the things with the younger kids. I mean, you give them these smartphones and you give them the tablets and stuff like that. Oh yeah, boom, boom, and they're done. So if I have an issue, I just call up one of the new kids. Hey, what's wrong? And he says, oh, come on. Yep. You know, 2 minutes later, the thing's back to where it was, and it's incredible as far as that stuff goes.
Anyway, David, we're out of time, but I'd like to thank you for coming by, and
Thank
I
you.
guess you want it to rain.
Yes. I think tomorrow, maybe
and
Friday,
we're
we'll
going to
get
get some rain.
So we could use a lot, though.
Yeah.
Well, we want a steady rain. You don't
Yes.
want
No,
that
the
dump.
downpours don't do a whole lot.
They don't sink into the dirt. They
You
roll
want
off.
it steady,
And-
slow.
And believe it or not, it runs a lot more debris into
Right.
the reservoir. It's better, nice soaking, keeping the rivers filling up.
Well, even if the first couple hours is a soaking rain, then
Yes.
after that, if the volume increases, you're better off.
Yep.
Okay. David, thanks.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Thank you.